Hello, my name is Matt Drewette-Card, and I am the Curriculum Director for MSAD 46. This is another episode in our Educator Effectiveness video tutorial series, and this video in particular is about student surveys. And when it comes to student surveys, there are 5 basic questions that we're going to answer with this short video. Why do we do them? What are they? Who creates them? How do we collect the data? And then what do we do with the data once we have it? All the pretty much essential questions you would need to know about student surveys going forward. So let's start with the first one. Why is it that we do them? There's a lot of reasons. According to the MSAD 46 Educator Effectiveness Handbook, students are the heart of schools in our district. They are the reason educators choose to educate. We believe that students deserve a role in determining the effectiveness of all educators, and that our educators deserve to know and should be responsible to listen to feedback from our most important community members, our students. You can find that on page 16 of our handbook. This gets to the heart of everything is if we're being effective, we have all our research, we have all our practices, we have our models, everything else. But what are the students telling us? What does it say to the students? We can have all the standardized achievement scores in the world, but are we really being effective to them as a whole child? That's why we do the student surveys, to get to their feedback and to hear from them what's working and what's not working. So what are they? These surveys are not, there's 3 different options with our surveys. They can be either adopted as they are, or ignored. But they really can't be ignored. So it's really only 2. Or created on your own. It's really what it is. So they are locally developed and or adopted as they are. And there are district-wide surveys that are available. They can be done at the school level, developed and or adopted, or it can be done at the individual teacher level. So, and I'll show you in a moment, there are some from the district level that we can say, hey, there's just some that are just blanket that you could use at any grade span or at all grade spans. The school might develop one on their own. They want everyone to be using, or the individual teacher might want to do it. Now, one of the caveats for the surveys is that they have to be based on the Marzano teacher evaluation model, and they should be tied to or based on the teacher's individual growth plan goals. Part of what this whole is about is tying your effectiveness, the teacher's effectiveness, to your goals, and having our students tell us, our constituents tell us, how effective are we in terms of meeting the goals that we are trying to meet. Surveys can be qualitative, they can be quantitative, or both. There's really no set expectation for how it's supposed to be. What really matters the most is, do you have a survey? Is it based on the Marzano evaluation model? And then how are you using it? So the next is, who creates them? Who's making these surveys? And that depends on what you want to measure. As I said in a previous slide, there are some that are already pre-made. There's some that are pre-made just from the straight-up Marzano model that are available for you to adopt as a particular classroom teacher. There are also some locally designed grade span surveys based on the Marzano teacher evaluation available for adoption as well, that have been created from the school at the school level and grade span level. You can also create your own. If you want links to any of the pre-made surveys that are there, let me know, or your building administrator. They will provide those to you. But they are currently available, and there are also links in our plan themselves. The other option is you can create your own. You could just make your own survey up, and as long as it's based on your professional growth plan goals from the Marzano teacher evaluation model, and everything that I'm saying here, by the way, is not my words, what I want. For example, this is coming straight from the MSAD 46 Educator Effectiveness Teacher Evaluation Plan, Educator Effectiveness Plan. So how do we collect the data? That's again a decision for the individual teacher. You can do them paper-based and collect the data that way. You can do a Google form or SurveyMonkey. So you can make it digital that way. You could also do something like Flipgrid and use it so that you can have a conversation. Say, I'm going to leave it here so you can give me a conversation back and forth, and you can get the personal feedback that way. I will say that one thing about Flipgrid is that, well, it's a video issue. It's a video base, so you can, if you have concerns or desires for survey anonymity, it might not work. Flipgrid will not work for that. Let me say that much, because unless you're putting bags over people's heads and trying to, distort their video, their audio sound, their voices, then that's the only way to kind of get that to work. But I don't see anyone really doing that. But if you really want to get that honest, critical feedback from the individuals, you have that option as well. As long as it's based on the professional growth goals, that's really all that matters. So it doesn't matter how you do it, but there are many options for how you collect the data as well. What do we do with the data once we have it? Then, what do we do with it? Because that's kind of the whole point of it. If you collect data or you're doing all these things, well, what do you do with it? The first part is that it's presented as evidence during your annual summative meeting with your evaluator. One of the things that has to happen is you have to show evidence wherever you are, whether you're a probationary, a first-year professional, a second-year professional, or a third-year professional. You have to show evidence that you have, over the year, met the criteria for all 5 of our evaluator effectiveness, educator effectiveness criteria, which are the overall professional practice and the deliberate practice. Those are 2 things that are done through eye observation. But the ones that are outside eye observation include your student growth. How are you showing student growth? Usually an SLO is kind of the way it's been done in our district. But if you have a different method, so be it. Effective technology integration. That's another part of the criteria. How are we doing that? And the final criteria is a student survey. So you have to present that you've done a student, at least a student survey, and gotten their feedback in some way, shape, or form. It is 5% of the total summative effectiveness rating, but with our rule of the 1 in our plan. What that means is that if you get a 1 in any category, a 1 meaning beginning or ineffective, then that triggers an automatic action plan for the next year. And so this is one of the reasons why everything is scored every year, because if for some reason in 1 year you did not do a survey, you could see on the scoring guide right there, scoring criteria from the handbook, that if it wasn't developed or used, then you'd be getting a 1, and that would trigger an action plan for the next year specifically related to your student survey. Now, the real thing that we want to do with the data once we have it is reflection. Our entire PEPG system, our educator effectiveness system, is all based around the concept of reflection, reflection, reflection. What are the students telling us? What are the students telling you? And what are you going to then do with that as an individual educator? That's really the most important thing that these data are used for you to help improve your educator effectiveness. Those are the 5 questions, simple questions about student surveys and our educator effectiveness plan. Hopefully this has answered some questions. Why we do them? What are they? Who creates them? How do we collect the data? And what do we do with the data once we have it? Again, my name is Matt Drewette-Card. This is another episode of our Educator Effectiveness video tutorial series. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know, and I'm always happy to hear from you, and I'm here to help, and I've always got your back. Take care.